now live. Woohoo. Awesome.
Yeah, great.
Cool. Hello, YouTube
Okay.
world. Good to see you again. Okay, take it away,
Okay.
Maida.
Okay, so basically, I worked around the README file of this outreach initiative, and basically, it is aimed to let people get introduced with the consistent workflows and community engagements for the Node.js communities, like events, open source contributions, and events, content, and open source contributions. Basically, it's about getting people onboarded to the Node.js community and letting people know more and more about it so that we can. I read through one of your surveys which got published last year that Node.js is being used by more than 10 million developers. So that's huge, massive numbers, and that brought really positive impact on businesses and really empowered developers. So basically, this is the scope, as we've mentioned in our previous meetings as well. The scope of this project is really huge, but basically we can tone them down to three main goals. It's still in the brainstorming phase. Like, we can work around the community events, the community content, and community contributions. Like, I have named them, so obviously we can even change them, but this is just a crude form of proposal, and I have even created separate issues for each one of them, for events, content, and likewise for the open source contributions. So currently our goal is to work around each of these individual segments, and let's see how we can take them forward. Like, we can divide them one by one, or we can take one and then leave the rest. Like Manil mentioned about the event part, for the meetup in the box part, it is already there, so we can get started with that and later jump to the content part and the open source contribution part, because I guess the meetups part brings the most impact for this outreach initiative. And this is just a rough form of readme, and I would love to have your feedback on this. If you would like, if you have some feedback, like what should be added to it, or if there is something which should be removed from it, that would be great. And likewise, Ahmed shared some feedback about in the previous meeting about the meetup.com group. How about we subscribe to that? So Ahmed has some ideas around that, so we can discuss today, and let's see how it goes. Ahmed, would you like to jump in on this?
Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Maida. So first thing first, I think the basic, the README looks good to me. What do you folks think about it? I think we can split. It's good to see that there are like three different goals, and we can get started with the community events thingy, and then move on to other things. Especially, I'm going to. I've been thinking about doing a local meetup here to be able to bring on more contributors from our community to help with this community content and community contributions in the outreach program. So, but before even that, let's what I would like to discuss here is the community events. Is there what do you think should be the next step? I personally think that we can just now move on to building a Node.js foundation meetups.com org or something. I am not clear on the details on how to go about that with the Node.js Foundation, the project now. But that seems to be the right way to move to go to the next step, and then figure out sort of a simple, less different pattern for a meetup in a box with correct meetups. Just like someone in the comments was writing that there is a meetup in some place and they would like to show up and discuss how they do their meetup related to Node.js. So we can interview a couple of other community meetups as well and bring along some sort of very simple and quite flexible guideline to help kickstart new meetups and bring others into sort of a consistent framework. But before we even go ahead.
I was going to say I love the idea of bringing folks who are hosting their own meetups here to talk about what they do and what they think about and what they plan. And like it would be an awesome resource just to synthesize into written content somewhere where we can pass off, but also just to have the recordings of a meetup host talking about the process of when they're what they went through to start the meetup, what they go through each time to conduct it. Like I haven't seen a whole slew of video resources like that.
Exactly.
People get involved.
Exactly like that. Exactly like that. I was thinking that inside of community events, we can start with just meetups, and we could host, maybe right now we could discuss it in sort of in this particular repository, but later on we could go to github.com/node.js/meetups, and then we start together building, meetup in a box infrastructure along with all of these hosts. And then what we do is, for example, in Google Developer Experts Network, what they do is they have email lists for all the web GDs or the Angular GDs and everything. So we could actually build an email list of all the meetup organizers for Node.js or relevant events who are interested in joining a particular set of consistent meetups. And then we could do a lot of things from there. We could do we could host let's say monthly hangouts with all of those meetup organizers and discuss ideas and whatnot, and feature a couple of them every month or so, and then bring around the community around different things. For example, uh, not many people in the community are actually sure about what is happening with this Node.js and OpenJS Foundation thingy. So yeah, it's just something that I thought of. But if we were able to connect the community content team with the community event team and write something about it and get that particular content flowed through a list of meetup organizers, then it would generally make a lot of sense to it would just help the Node.js community. It would just help us onboard the Node.js community in a better way than we right now do through this meetup in a box or a consistent meetup workflow thingy, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That sounds super. I think in the relevant issue, issue number 7, that Maida had mentioned before, we already had Benjamin Gruenbaum suggest that they would connect this team to the Node.js Israel monthly meetup. I think that's a great start. I think research will be fairly resource intensive to begin with. So the pace at which that can be completed for us to gather enough research to actually say, hey, this is what we found works for meetups. This is what we've tried to create for you as a resource based on what we see works and what doesn't work across the world. Please choose a format and run with it. That'll be made easier if we can get more people to contribute. But to start with, I don't see why starting to interview meetup organizers across the world, whoever willing to talk would be. I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm sure Dan Shaw, who runs the meet, one of the big meetups here in San Francisco, would also love to come on and talk about what he's seen over the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and moreover, I feel that the idea which Emma just pointed out of collaborating the content team with the meetup teams, the events team, is according to me is a great idea. Also, at the same time, it's a great incentive for meetup organizers to get some sort of acknowledgement, like just as you mentioned about the Google Web GDEs part, like just to list them somewhere so that they get some kind of acknowledgement. Like if I talk about the WordPress community, here we have badges. We assign badges to people who contribute to the open source community, like whether they are contributing to the marketing part, to the meetups part, to the community part. So if we provide some sort of incentive of acknowledgement to meetup organizers particularly, and then join hands with the content team where they could feature all the top-notch or any sort of meetups or conferences that are going on. That would work perfectly. That could be aligned well altogether.
So I used to run a now temporarily retired working group called the Badges Working Group, whose entire goal was to make little badges, incentives for participating. Very little came of it because I got very distracted with the website redesign working group. And a lot of the design choices we're going to make for the website redesign should guide the badges look and feel. But now that we have Oscar on board to help design over on website redesign, I'm hoping we can start consolidating on look and feel, and we should totally have a meetup organizer badge. Like that would be
exactly
awesome. And I will have to figure out where the best communication venue is for like spotlighting local meetup organizers who are awesome. But I think creating that content 100%, that's something amazing for the community to see. Like let's make sure we do that.
I personally think that we are going. It would be amazing to just use GitHub as a CMS and just go with Node.js/meetups GitHub repo.
Yeah.
And instead of I don't know who came up with Meetup in a box. I get the idea behind it, but there are so many different cultural values around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who runs 3 meetup regularly every month, I tend to lose, track of those meetups which are super well defined on what to do and what not to do. And so if someone like me is trying to, conduct community events and whatnot, they are actually trying to stay more flexible. So instead of, I would rather choose something that it's not really what I'm for example, with this Node.js Outreach events meetup initiative, I don't want to tell people what to do. I just want people to have a code of conduct. I want people to have a very consistent way of, accepting speakers, and that kind of workflow. If you want to speak at a Node.js event, the consistency ideally should be so better that if you're traveling around the world, you could speak at multiple events, and all of those would have similar structure for speakers or for attendees. So that is what in my brain, that is what I think of this initiative. I don't want any kind of, what do you want to talk about? Is it that a networking event, or are there talks even, or not talks or workshops or whatever? So meetup could be anything. Just the community side of it, how people interact with that meetup, how speakers interact with that meetup, and if something goes wrong, what code of conduct do we really follow? That is the part I'm most interested in sort of, putting it out there so everyone could adopt.
So I never thought of meetup in a box as anything prescriptive. It's just like those very important guardrails that you just mentioned. Like, how do I accept speakers? What's the process for that? What's the code of conduct? Like, those are the only things that maybe should be heavy recommendations for if you do this, like you should be using this. Everything else, like, no, we shouldn't, try and restrict what people do locally, as long as it's something that, people show up for. I think it's more giving folks permission and confidence and awareness of the support system around running a local meetup. Because a lot of times when you start a local meetup, it's like, well, I'm the only one doing it. Cool. Nobody else here. But providing the community is, and the permission to do it is I think the push that a lot of folks will need.
How do you think we should go about that meetup.com org account for Node.js?
Let's just do it. Like, let's open the account. I'm assuming there's like a federated admin structure, like you can add a lot of people as admins to the account, or is it like just one manager, one login?
Are you talking about opening a meetup.com account for the Node.js organization?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think we need to do a little bit of
if you're
product
going to be
exploration?
doing that, it's going to cost. So doing that, you'll want to provision funds, and based on the fact, like I run a couple meetups in Vancouver, and I do pay for some of them. They don't come cheap, and I imagine that if we do a meetup.com/pro thing that we had discussed last time, it won't run cheap either, and it might be actually tiered. I don't run those, so I'm not exactly sure what the pricing structure for those are like. So yes, I think Adam was going to get at, we need to do a little bit of research.
Yeah, so Meetup Pro, I'm looking at the page right now. Meetup Pro has a 30-day free trial. It would be nice to get a number of folks added. It is then $30 per group per month. After that, we're just reading what reading the list here. I know that they also have special pricing for nonprofits and foundations. So it would, hey, look at that, WordPress is featured as one of the top groups here.
Exactly. WordPress is actually the WordPress group at meetup.com is actually the WordPress Foundation, the open source foundations group. So what happens is, since it is already open source, and people like in third world countries, and like for example in Africa, they don't really want to afford all of the infrastructure that goes around with, or just starting a simple meetup. So what WordPress Foundation does is they offer these accounts based on a simple, set of rules that we can also establish. Now, I don't know, because I have no idea how this is happening, but since this is a non-profit, WordPress Foundation is non-profit, I'm pretty sure that meetup.com folks would have some sort of, different package for the WordPress Foundation, or just for the open source folks. So if I don't know how that works with Node.js Foundation. I think if Node.js Foundation would be able to reach out to meetup.com, they would be able to tell us a bit better than just flying off the radar and signing up for their paid deals.
So I've been told the way to make budget requests is to email the two right people that you need to email, which I have their emails. So I think what we can do now is we can sign up, get that 30-day free trial, get a couple folks signed up for the pilot, and that will help us make the case for why we want this tool in the foundation. And then we can, as we're exploring the tool, which I'm convinced is probably the right tool for the job, as long as the price isn't too exorbitant and the foundation agrees to go with it, we can make that case for, can we get a budget line item for this? We want to explore this pilot program.
Sorry, Adam. Yeah, so far I've been listening, and around what's the entire concept for the meetup.com, and having a local meetup, or setting up the infrastructure in such a way that meetup organizers can reach out to the Node.js community and back-foot communication, and giving them the access or the rights to do so. It's a little bit similar to what we're trying to do on the user feedback session meetup groups, where we've gotten a number of folks already interested in hosting user feedback sessions locally. I think if we can align the purpose a little bit towards what we have on the Node.js user feedback group for getting feedback for the Node.js user feedback group for this, then I think it's a safe place for us to put this on a pilot mode. I don't know what the possibility will be if we can discuss with the user feedback group maybe by tomorrow during our meeting sessions, then flesh out a broader idea on how we can carry this out before moving forward with opening a meetup.com account. Because we don't want to have a situation whereby most folks helping us run user feedback sessions as local meetup groups are not part of this. So to give room for everybody to, the Node.js team has this initiative that exists, and you can be part of it by doing this or doing this. And since you're already running a user feedback session, you have the privilege to get in a meetup.com account and so forth and so on.
So I could totally see the user feedback initiative being one of the groups on the meetup.com account and being able to track the multiple user feedback sessions that happen kind of async online through that group, and it being tracked that way. Were you suggesting that user feedback use Meetup to help track their
recently, it's a relatively new initiative that will be having the first meetup for April 25th, where folks are already getting themselves ready to start their local meetups. We have about, I can still go through the email thread, lots of folks that are very, very interested in hosting the user feedback session. We also able to draft out like a guideline to help you, a document that can help you know what is expected of you. We also had a slide for area of discussions that we need, area of considerations that we need meetup organizers to also discuss. So if we can integrate the meetup process that we are starting up from the outreach initiative with the existing Node.js user feedback session that we already have, Node.js workshop organizers and meetup organizers, if we can bring like a connecting point between them whereby we can say, okay, if you don't have a meetup.com account and you are interested in hosting a Node.js feedback session, or you're interested in hosting a Node.js meetup, this can be provided for you through the outreach initiative. If you already have a meetup.com account, if you also love us to integrate it to what we have on the outreach initiative, then this is a process that you need to take to get that done.
Yeah. Do you already have some resources started for what's expected of groups in the user feedback initiative? Ahmad, the user feedback group is and also for anybody on the stream, the user feedback initiative is involved with getting together like-minded subsets of the Node community and getting feedback on the Node APIs and Node ecosystem, state of the Node ecosystem for them, and being able to communicate that feedback back to the core team or the implementers to help improve it. So it's a very specific type of meeting of minds. Often an invited group of people coming to have a public discussion. But it's also
that's but the basic idea is not just for a group, a class of people, but the general Node.js users, everybody that makes use of Node.js, even if your attendees have low idea of this particular question, it's not a problem. The idea is bringing everybody together, users, novice, whatever stage you are in making use of Node.js, telling us about your use cases and how we can also improve Node.js. So it's not really a focused area initiative, but a broader scope initiative where we want everybody to be part of it, every Node.js user to be part of it.
Actually, I get that. I think what he is trying to say is that having a meetup.com account and meetups on meetup.com would also help us do other things like user feedback group. For example, meetup.com provides the organization with a way to email the organizers, and the organizers get a way to create an email list of their entire meetup groups. So with that kind of sort of a huge Node.js meetup newsletter, what we could do is we could easily ask for public user feedback and whatnot. So there are other benefits to that as well, and we could actually later on when these initiatives are very good and grown, we could we could actually connect the community. And for example, there could be a team where they would, produce a newsletter and send it out to the whole Node.js meetups community out there, which could be in millions. So there are, that kind of benefits as well when working with meetup.com, I think.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of, as long as we're tracking groups that meet, like this is one of the main perks of Meetup. So I went ahead and took the initiative to sign up for a 30-day free trial right now. I'm going to start the conversation about getting my credit card off of the account and see if we can negotiate a cheaper price for the foundation. But we can certainly use this to start playing with the feature and seeing how we can track. I will close the account after 30 days, so I'm not charged up the butt for whoever we add to the account. But we have a month as of today to start playing with it, and to see if we can't get this permanently added. Agiri, I would absolutely love to try and not duplicate effort with the user feedback group. So thank you for being here. Let's see if we can't get that consistent.
I actually just reached out to the folks at meetup.com on Twitter. I don't know if they would respond or not, but maybe we could do something around, a custom pricing for an open source foundation like Node.js. So I'll get back to you on that once they respond.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I would love that. I just dropped the link to the Meetup Pro account. It's meetup.com/pro/Node.js. Anybody going there right now will be very, very empty. And I'm going to try and figure out, can I add extra admins to this thing? I'll figure that out and see if I can't add folks. But yeah, that's a good action item for us to walk away with. Ahmad, if you could work on figuring out pricing, and then I'll reach out and get us on a thread with the folks that we need to do a budget request for Meetup, and just like let them know that we're exploring this as an option, and we'll have more concrete numbers for them soon, just to get the conversation started.
Makes sense. You can make me an admin of that Node.js Pro account that you made.
I'm gonna try. I'm trying to see where you add more people. Settings, about your group.
There should be an organizers or who are we section, I guess.
Group, search groups, members. Start a group, link a group. I may change the password to my meetup.com account and just share it around with you four or you three, if I can't figure out how to add more admins here, and then let you all take care of it, if I can't figure it out immediately after this meeting. So while we're working on this, we can also start working to get material and guidance together, or at least language for it, for people who want to add their group. Like what's the bare minimum to be added to this list? And then something else we're going to have to consider is if somebody, there's a hypothetical worst case situation that we need to have some process around, where we get a report of a code of conduct not being followed at a meetup that's on our site. What happens? What do we do? What's the process that we take? It starts getting into the zone of moderation a little bit. Like how do we help mediate these issues? I would love to, maybe for the next meeting, unless we have folks invited to talk about their experience as organizers, which would also be a good use of that next meeting. I'd love to invite Tracy Hines to this meeting. She, of
that
all
would be great.
Involved with ComCom, has the most context around like moderation and setting up these type of processes for worst case scenario planning and how to best handle it. So it'd be great to get her context.
Yeah, I have actually gone through a couple of these scenarios. So in the last 10 years of running different meetups, but I think I agree with what you just said. Having some sort of a community support and people who could just privately hang out, do a hangout with whatever issue is in the community. That normally works, but having insights from how Node.js Foundation does it from Tracy, that would be super helpful.
So I'm just taking notes here. Yeah, so we'll also get that started. So the kind of major sections we need detailed sounds like we need how to get added to the list as a community meetup.
Yeah, so I dropped a link to the Google Docs for the initiative around Node.js user feedback sessions. So you can take a look at these so we don't end up duplicating efforts.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Putting that in the meeting minutes here too. Gary, doc to user feedback process. Let's take a quick skim.
Also, hello.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like to add a detail here. Like, I feel that with this account, hello, am I audible?
Mm-hmm. We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel that with this account, I can see several meetup groups regarding Node.js. So with this official account being set up, we can bring all these small haphazardly roaming groups under one uh, shelf, where they would know what's the most go-to place for the meetups for Node.js. So it's just an extra detail I was just thinking out loud, because I just searched through the Node.js meetups and I could find several of them being conducted on monthly basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a slew of existing meetups that will be interested in getting added to this as just like a way to up level their visibility and discoverability. But these, Gary, I'm just skimming this document too. Like this, the option to run a user feedback session at your meetup as either like a during the meetup event or a post meetup goings on. Like it sounds like it's something that we should include in that meetup in a box, for lack of a better term. As if you're looking for stuff to do at your meetup or things to conduct, or like here's an option that you have in your toolkit.
Exactly.
Much like hosting a code and learn or hosting a Node School type workshopper. Like it's another resource that you can bring to the table as a meetup organizer.
Exactly.
So we could have meetup formats, meetup add-ons or whatever. So people could just pick up and be able to connect with. I think me personally, I found out that having such templates is sort of a common way of making things consistent. What's uncommon and is more helpful is having sort of a way to connect with the meetup organizers who actually have done something in the past and getting help from them. So initially, it's too early to discuss that, but initially I would want that templates to have sort of contact methods for earlier organizers who have done meetup with that particular template, that meetup in a box. So that actually helps a lot.
Awesome. Yeah. Gary, yeah, thank you for
And
sharing
about
this guide too. Sorry, go for it, Meta.
Yeah, and about the code of conduct part, I can set up a crude document for it, but it would be great if we can uh, uh, get some of the meetup organizers in the next meeting, and we can get to chat around what kind of difficulties they face, what workflow they are currently using for organizing Node.js meetups. So we can incorporate all that feedback into that document, and we can finally come up with a draft which is like agreeable to all. So
Yeah. And I'd love to get.
I think we can do that in a slightly easier manner
One small
before.
thing I would like to add is.
Can you hear me?
Oh, how
Hello?
about Agiri first, then Ahmad?
Sure.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I think there's
Okay.
lag and people are talking over a little bit.
Sorry.
So yeah, that's okay.
So, I think before we move forward with bringing people to the meeting sessions, we can actually just send out a little survey, maybe use the Node.js undo to gather those resources, then iterate on them, then look out for most of the top meetups, then invite meetup organizers to the next meetup, to the next outreach initiative meeting, then iterate with them and see how we can move forward with that. Because I think moving forward with bringing everybody down here, we have a little bit of crowd control, and everybody wants to dish out the ideas. But if we can get those ideas in more of a document form, then we sort them through. Then we can iterate on that for better questioning on the next meeting.
Yeah, I actually think that might be a good pace for this. So we'll have by next meeting, so like on-site meeting 2 weeks from now, we'll have a much better understanding of what we're going to be able to do with meetup.com and what the pricing model is going to be, and if we can get the funds for it. We'll also hopefully have an early draft of like what our initial knee-jerk thoughts are on what meetup expectations are for getting included on this list, and what code of conduct expectations could be.
Yeah.
We can have the survey out and started to get shared around hopefully this week if we do it that way. And for next session, we can hopefully get Tracy or other folks who have experience in moderation to help talk about the process around like what our wants are going to be for those worst case scenarios, the reporting structure for if something goes wrong in escalation, how we deal with situations like that. We can also use that time to go through the list of folks who submitted information to the survey, and then the next meeting we'll actually have our ducks in a row and be able to conduct a meeting that we can invite folks to and have keep it well structured for the folks we'd like to bring to chat.
Yeah. Also have to look into criteria for anybody coming into the Node.js meetup space. Like what are those things that you need to have done, or what's amount of meetup you've organized for you to be part of this? I think with Tracy on board on this, that'll be easier for us to also flesh out.
Ahmad, you had something you wanted to bring up too. First of all, what do you think about that timeline or plan?
Awesome.
Sound good?
I think it's is thing CC agenda. I don't know if I label CC agenda the issues. They would be where would they go with that automated meeting setup tool? Should we have a different label?
So we have. You got a little choppy in there because I think you're finally getting throttled going over phone Wi-Fi. So we have I think you're asking about labels for agenda generation, right? So if you put the tag CC agenda on anything in the Node.js org, it'll get put on the community committee agenda. We have the outreach agenda tag. So anything with that tag or label on it will get put on the outreach agenda. That'll get generated for 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, that is exactly what I was talking about. Because
perfect.
In a couple of meetings down the road, we would like to discuss how community contribution initiative and community content initiative can get started. If we for some reason get more contributors, we can easily do that simultaneously as well.
Yep, perfect. And I'll make a call for next meeting at the community committee meeting this Thursday for folks who are interested in showing up next meeting for code of conduct and escalation and all that type of discussion for this. So we'll hopefully get more folks coming in for that branch of the conversation. Cool.
Makes sense. I think the outreach agenda label is not actually created, so I'm going to go ahead and create one.
Yeah, it just so the meeting maker just kind of does a search of all the repos. It doesn't, just because we have the node, the automated meeting creator running doesn't mean that every repo has the tag or label already added to it. So for any repo where we want to like pull in issues from for our agenda, we have to go add the tag, including our own. I don't think we've done that yet in our repo. So. Awesome.
So I'm just creating that label.
The label is now showing up.
I think we are good to go for to getting started with as Giri explained with that timeline, with just the meetups part of the community events, and later on getting towards that contribution in the content part. But for now, setting up a meetup.com account and building templates for meetup in a box, figuring out the code of conduct in the next meeting would be something that I look forward to.
Awesome, me too. Yeah, I think we have our marching orders for now until next time. Maida, if you could help synthesize, pull out some of the best parts of the or most applicable parts of the user feedback group doc that Gary shared in the chat there, and kind of help us get a draft going of that first blush, first pass of what it would take to get added to the list, what the expectations are. That would be awesome to get that back. Let's get Ahmad,
I'll go through it.
Awesome. Ahmad, let's keep us updated on if you hear back from Meetup about foundation pricing, and I'll get a thread going with the foundation folks, with all of us on it, to talk details about that, and at least just let them know that it's going to happen, and we'll get more info for them soon.
Definitely.
And I'm going to find some way to get y'all access to this Meetup account, because that would be nice.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I have the idea of how to run a meetup group there, since I do that, but how to run an organization that holds the groups, I don't have much idea there. That would be good.
I'm trying to make a do I need to make a new group and then add folks to that group and then make that group I don't know. I'll figure it out in the next few minutes. And if not, I'm just going to change my password to something we can share until we figure it out for federated access.
As the saying goes, try switching it on and off.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. Well, we got 12 minutes left in the meeting. Anything else to add, or do we have our marching orders? Oh, and Agiri, if you could bring our intent to start getting meetup stuff going in the outreach group to user feedback tomorrow. That would be awesome if we could work to sync efforts. I love that you're here.
Sure. I'm actually leading the meetup sessions, so
beautiful.
I have some good actions there.
That sounds great. Cool. Anything else to add, folks?
I think if we have some time left, we could discuss the naming of our YouTube channel. Is it doable or not?
No. Yeah, I believe. Hold on, I'm gonna pop over to the live stream and promptly mute it because it's gonna be weird to hear myself. There we go. I don't know how much control Zoom gives us over the name that it gets logged into, or that it gets sent to. That's interesting. It looks like when it kicks it off, it, what? Oh, weird. For some reason, the video has a link to the OpenJS Foundation Bootstrap repo. That's fun.
I'm actually talking about this issue if someone is unsure.
Yeah, this was just what what the channel's called. Channel. Oh, we're just talking about changing the YouTube alias here. Okay.
Okay, I think I have actually missed looking at that. Okay, yeah, I think Tierney actually replied, and I didn't catch that reply for some reason, but there happens to be actually a username Node.js Foundation, which actually just works for me. I'm just going to go ahead and close that. Maybe we could do something about the automated meeting scheduler, because it prints out this huge array of random numbers as a channel name.
Yeah, so actually this is good context for all y'all. Let's see if I can find this link and create node meeting artifacts. Here we go. So this is the repo that holds all of the automated meeting generation code, or at least most of it. It's made by Michael Dawson a little bit ago. And you'll notice that any and all meetings have a whole slew of templates in that templates directory. And you'll notice, since we added it, the Outreach initiative has templates in there for each section of the generated ticket. There's the invited section, the meeting base section, the yada yada. And I believe, yeah, so this is the GitHub issue, or sorry, the GitHub template for where the link is automatically injected. And it's literally just hard coded there. So let me edit this. So the kind of unfortunate part about, it's interesting. It does just go to the channel page, huh?
I think we can just create a pull request here.
Yeah. I was thinking it would be nice if like Zoom gave us a way to spit out these live streams into a playlist so that somebody could just go see all the Outreach initiative videos.
Actually, I'm not so sure right now, but when you go to the channel and if there is someone live, it pops up, the video pops up, but
at the top, yeah.
Yeah, but even if it doesn't, I think there should be a direct link of live streams. Yes.
Yeah, it does pop it out at the top of the channel page. So we can at least just put the channel page in there.
Exactly. But sometimes there are more than one streams at the same time, I guess.
There's a trailing double quote on the "for those who just want to watch" line. And I'm wondering if that's needed by the template or if it's just an extra character that we don't need. Taking a look at our test generated ticket over here. I don't see the double quote in the automated ticket, so I'm going to keep it in the template for fear of messing something up otherwise. But change YouTube URL to okay. So we're going to have to do something like this for all the meetings where we want this URL changed. Slash YouTube URL. There we go.
Probably
I just
don't.
opened up. We can do it all in one PR, but we'll need to do something like that for everywhere we want it changed.
Yeah, probably want you know don't code it because if you
It won't change.
if we put the name of the link, some links might not work. I just tried, so let's go with a PR and see how it goes. But I definitely see where I need to contribute now to change the notes in the base and everything. There are like a couple of grammatical issues that I would like to address.
There's some maintenance fun with this tool too. Like, I'm not entirely sure why there needs to be 5 different templates for every meeting.
Exactly.
So that might be something to open an issue about and offer to contribute back to start consolidating that for maintenance reasons. It's just kind of, it's not a huge hoop to jump through, but it gets kind of weird. There might have been a good rationale for it. I'm just not aware of it. Good question to ask. But yeah, that's where we need to contribute back if we want to change anything with the generated meeting tickets. Yep. Cool. Well, I guess unless we have anything else to chat about, shall we call that a productive meeting? I'll get meeting notes PR'd in after I flash them up a little bit. And
awesome.
Cool. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks, YouTube stream.